Welcome to Wadsworth History on Film, a program presented by the Wadsworth Area Historical Society and designed to record oral history of Wadsworth for posterity. I'm your host, Cesar Carino, and today our guest is Bob Hugi. Bob's been around for a long time in Wadsworth, as a matter of fact. How many years, Bob?
80.
80 years. 80 years in Wadsworth. That's great. Now, tell us a little bit about Bob Hugi, where you were born, who your parents are, your brothers, and your family, and where you lived, and all of those kinds of things. Start with when you were born. When were you born, Bob?
I was born in 1925.
1925. What day?
February 4th.
February 4th, 1925. And where were you born?
I was born in the house in Blake, where my parents moved about a year before that.
So they've been around for 81 years in the area.
Yeah.
Now tell us where that house is located. I think.
Okay, it's located at Tower Road and Blake Road.
Tower Road and Blake Road, which will be, and I suspect those roads will be there 50 years from now, but
Right.
if they aren't, Tower Road runs north and south, doesn't it?
Right.
And Blake Road runs
East and
west. Now, you're going to be able to tell us quite a bit about Blake Road and what was on Blake Road after a while, aren't you?
I can tell some,
Not too much? Well,
Blake Road starts at Leatherman Road and runs all the way to Route 3.
goes all the way to Route 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we used to call the 3C Highway.
3C,
the Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati Highway.
Right.
And it was kind of a straight shot from Cleveland to Cincinnati in those days, built by the WPA, as I remember. Is that correct?
I think so.
Do you remember when it was built?
Nope, I sure don't.
Do not remember when it was built. Bob, tell us a little bit more about your place of birth and where you came in the family and brothers and sisters and things of this nature.
Okay, I had a sister that died in 1940 with pneumonia and flu, and I had
And her name was what?
Virginia.
And how old was she when she passed on?
She was 16.
16. So she was born in 1924.
She was born in 23.
23? Okay.
Yeah. And my brother was born in
29, 28
September of 26.
26? Okay. That's your brother Dale.
Dale, yeah.
And there were three of you, is that correct?
Right.
There was Virginia, you, and then Dale.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your parents and who they were, and mother's maiden name, and where they came from, and all of that.
Okay, my mother and father, both of them were from Monroe County. They were on different ridges. My father met my mother when he was teaching the one-room school, and he boarded at their place.
He boarded at her place.
For a while, yeah. But he didn't get married till quite a while later.
Now, when did your father teach school down in Monroe County?
Oh gosh. They just had the one-room schoolhouse, and they just went to 8th grade.
Right.
And they didn't have no high school. And he got a scholarship to go to Marietta Academy. And that was just high school.
Right.
So then he taught, oh gee, I don't know, for quite a while, 10 years maybe.
Then he married your mother. What was your mother's maiden name?
Okay, her name was Lena L. Seiler.
S-E-I-L-E-R?
Right.
S-E-I-L-E-R. Lena, L-I-N-A or L-E-N-A?
L-E-N-A.
L-E-N-A-L.
Luella.
Luella Seiler, S-E-I-L-E-R. And you say that they're both born in Monroe County.
Yes.
Now, I realize fully well that Monroe County doesn't have a lot of big cities, but did they have a place that they called a village or a city? Or
They were, Clarington, I think, was the
Clarington.
closest.
Both of them from Clarington?
Yes.
You said that they lived on different ridges. Now, explain that to me, because we don't have that up here particularly.
Okay. From the Ohio River was where Clarington was, right? And you go up the ridge, and then you go up another road and you go to a different ridge and different.
So different ridges, they call that ridges.
Yeah, and that's where they usually built, and then their land would slope down into the gully.
That's right. Built up there in case there's a flood,
Yeah.
and they did have a lot of floods, and they still do
Yeah.
have a lot of floods in the Ohio River. Then in 1925, when you were born, the world wasn't too terribly bad off. I mean, we didn't have a depression or
Right.
anything, but by the time that you went to school, there was a depression.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that depression?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
And what are some of your most vivid thoughts about the depression and vivid memories?
Oh, most vivid memories. I can remember different little things that went on. I know I had to wear boots to school in the wintertime, and we didn't have boots. And I had to wear my mother's boots. She had boots, and I didn't like that at all.
You had to wear boots because
Yeah.
you couldn't bring snow into the floors because
Yeah.
they were wooden.
Well, yeah.
And where did you go to school?
To centralized.
Centralized, which is now Isham Memorial School.
Right, right.
And you went there from grades 1 through
9.
as did I.
Right.
You have a picture here of your first grade classroom. I'm going to show that first grade classroom right now. And I'm going to ask you to name some of these people, if you can. The first grade classroom there. How about naming some of those people, if you can, Dale?
Bob.
Bob, I'm sorry.
Oh, I can look at,
Yeah.
okay. It's Claude Crawford and the next one I'm not sure on. And then Johnny Morrison. And the next one I'll miss. And then Marjorie Huff. And I don't know that. next
Marjorie
one.
Huff.
Marjorie Huff, yeah.
I'm from out in the eastern part of the township.
Right, right. Okay, I can't name too many of them.
Well, how about, let's take a picture of your fifth grade class. Let's show this fifth grade
now
class.
fifth.
And you'll be able to see more of those, I think, the fifth grade class right there. Now show us, how about some of those people so we know with whom you went to school?
Okay, in the first row there is Thelma Fulton
Thelma Fulton,
and Alice Gardner,
Alice Gardner,
Lena Mae Hilton,
Lena Mae Hilton,
and Mary Rohr.
Mary Rohr, and she had a cousin too, didn't she?
What's that?
She had a cousin too, didn't she?
Ruth Rohr right
Rohr.
beside her.
Right.
And the next one I should know, but I can't. And the next one is Votaw.
Violet Votaw.
Adeline Votaw.
Violet, wasn't it Violet?
No, it was
Violet was her younger sister then.
Uh-huh. And then this is Ray, Jean Ray. She was Billy Ray's daughter.
Okay.
And Margie Huff
Marjorie Huff.
and Bertie. I can't say her first name.
What was the last name?
Bertie. They lived right in River Styx.
Well, if it comes to you, just...
Anyhow, okay. And I don't know the next one, or the next one, or the next one, and the next one is Frederick, Maxine Frederick.
Maxine Frederick,
And I
who
worked.
lost her brother in the war.
No.
Not the same
They were
one?
just the two girls. They lived on Acme Hill. You know.
They had the apple farm.
Well, they had.
No, it was Crawford. I'm sorry. Crawford was killed in the war. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Neighbor,
right.
Neighbor.
Crawford. Yeah. And I've got his picture here somewhere. Anyhow, there's. I can't say their name. And the next one is Ryder, Dorothy Ryder, and then
From Silver Creek?
yes, coming.
Right.
Ella Mae Amch and Marlis Hoover and the teacher.
Who was the teacher?
What did you say she was?
Miss Iden?
Miss Iden, yeah. And then there's Neil Hartman,
Neil Hartman from or in Clark's Corners.
yes, and Harry Reed, and I don't know the next one, and the next one's Lucille Harpley,
Lucille Hartley from Silver Creek.
and I don't know the next one, and then I know Pauline Good,
Pauline Good from Acme Hill.
Acme Hill, and I don't know her. Then you got Claude Crawford,
Claude Crawford.
which you were talking about.
Well, he was his brother,
his brother.
Wayne Crawford, who was killed.
That got killed, right. And then there's Bill Lance.
Bill
and
Lance from Medina County Line Road.
Buddy Mager.
Buddy Maker from Silver Creek, and then finally Seville.
Right. And then there's, who is that? Come on. Okay, the next one is Francis Smith.
Francis Smith from Leatherman Road.
I think that was Johnny Morrison that's right next to him.
Johnny Morrison.
And then I'm next.
You're next. You know where you lived.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Raymond Brubaker.
Also from Blake.
Yeah, well, he lived on 49. He lived pretty close to
River Styx.
Greenwich Road, you know. Well, 49 runs,
49 is River Styx Road.
no,
Yeah.
is it?
Mhm.
Well, I'm thinking of Yoder Road.
Oh, Yoder Road, okay. Mhm.
Okay, and then the next one is Lloyd Booyer, and he married a cousin of my wife's. And the next one is Donald something, and I don't know his last name. And the next one is Dick Pearman.
Dick Pearman lives in town here.
Yeah, he lives on Wood Street now, or, yeah, on East Good, or West Good. And I don't know the next one, and the next is Merle Pfeiffer, and the next one is Bill Brenneman.
Bill Brenneman.
Yeah,
Merle Pfeiffer lived down there in Custard Hook.
he lived somewhere near where Dick Pearman lived.
I see. Well, that's very good for having not seen these for, well, almost 70
Yeah.
years. That's really, really great. That's wonderful.
We have a class breakfast, and a lot of them come to that, but these are centralized kids, and there's a lot more.
That are not
all the
centralized
others,
kids, right?
yeah.
What was centralized like at that time? Describe centralized at that time and the principal and the superintendent and all of that.
Okay, the superintendent was Babcock in
Medina.
Medina.
S.H. Babcock's.
Yes, right. And Isham was the principal,
Vernon V. Osham was the principal.
and Miss Hyman was we kind of used her as a principal. She was kind of assistant
She
principal.
was assistant Mabel Hindman, Hindman.
Right. Okay. And let's see. That's the. Let's see. We had a janitor there that he made different things for us to play with. Like we had box hockey and down in the basement.
He made that for you. Who was the janitor? Do you remember? The custodian?
Yes, I think it was a Roar. One of the Roar.
Could well be.
So that's all.
And then some of your teachers, your first grade teacher.
My first grade teacher was Inez Goodman.
Ines Goodman, who married Ralph Rohr, who was
Rohr.
also a teacher.
Right.
Ines Goodman died not too long, about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes. Hmm. And let's see. I had Mrs. Gates for second grade teacher.
Laura Gates,
Is it Laura?
yes,
I
Lora.
I always called her Mrs. Gates.
Everyone did. She was a strict teacher.
And then Mrs. Hyman was,
Miss Hindman, she never married.
well, wasn't she?
Never,
Okay. And then there was third, well, she was second and third. I think I had her in the third grade. She had a combination class. Yeah, let's see, there was another third grade class. It was
Miss Kuhn, wasn't it?
Kuhn, yeah, Bertha Kuhn.
Bertha Kuhn,
Yeah.
dead now.
Yeah.
She still has relatives in town, however.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She lived out on Seville Road.
Yeah, that's where the home place was.
That's right,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm. That's the,
And fourth grade was probably Mrs. Cooter?
I don't think
Miss
I ever had
Miss Cooter?
Mrs. Cooter.
No.
That's about as far as I can go. I can go into junior high, and I can name Raymond Schultz.
Raymond Schultz history. Mm-hmm.
And of course Ralph Rohr.
Ralph Rohr,
Science.
Science.
Chemistry.
right.
And I liked woodworking, so we had Ringelsfall.
Who?
I can't. Ringelsfall.
Ringles Fall?
Yeah, the girls all liked him to be at their dances, to be
Chaperone?
chaperone, right?
Was he good looking? Is that what?
Yeah, he was good looking. Yeah,
So the girls liked him?
yeah. Oh, he was a nice fella, he was really. And let's see, we had a teacher by the name of Boyd taught shop too.
Mr. Boyd taught shop, right?
Yeah,
Richard Boyd.
Boyd. In shop, they did so many things. We had classes where we did electrical, and then we did molding. We did castings
Woodworking.
and woodworking.
Metalworking.
Metal, yeah.
Now, where was the shop? Describe the shop.
Okay, it was a little wooden building just to the
Northwest.
west.
Northeast.
East, just to the east of
And what do they call it?
Chicken House.
The chicken coop.
Yeah.
Right, because it looked like a chicken coop.
Yeah.
Made out of wood, would never pass muster today. I mean, it was a fire trap if there ever was a fire trap.
Yeah, they were worried about when we were pouring those molds. We poured some in lead mostly, but we did do some in aluminum, and I did one in brass, a bookend, a horse bookend, and I really liked that. I would like to have made more of them, but I didn't have that much brass.
Right. And then from there you went on to the high school, right? And,
Right.
You met new people. Now, you had all of these friends down in elementary school. You named many of them here today. Who became your friends then when you went to high school? And
Oh, you know what? I took machine shop the last 2 years, so I only had the sophomore year up there where I was in with the rest of the.
and who was involved with machine shop at the time?
Okay, there was Wayne Walters, Don Ebert,
How about the teachers?
okay, the teachers were, we just had the two, Bill Frost and, okay, different ones. Ralph Rohr was the second year. The year before that had, I'm really bad at.
Morning Star?
No, he was farming.
It was farming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ain't gonna come to me.
Goodyear? Well, if you think of it, you can come up with a name. And then, did you have any friends outside the school? Or outside of woodworking, or outside of the machine shop?
Oh, I can't think of them now.
When you were living out of Blake as a young kid, who were the neighbors?
Okay, the one house east of us was a rental house, and we had different people moving in all the time. So, but then you go on down on the other side of the road, clear down, before you get to Buffington's. Buffington's was on the corner of, I call it 49, you says River Styx Road, but that's Yoder Road, where Buffington's live.
Yeah.
And the next road down is River Styx Road.
Okay.
That runs into
River Styx, right?
Yeah.
I think that is 49 now. I'm not sure though.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Buffington family. What was significant about the Buffington family?
Oh, they had a bunch of girls.
They had a bunch of girls.
And they had one boy.
One boy.
Jay.
Jay Buffington. And what did Jay do?
Farm.
Farm. And what did his father do?
His father was a sheriff.
Sheriff of Medina County.
When I was little, I remember the parents used to, don't go out there in the road and throw stones because he'll get you.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Okay, and then you come on up. There was Beery's.
Biery.
I think
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. And
we have to spell these because historians many times will just do it phonetically, and if we happen to know the spelling, we try to give it on this program if we possibly can. You see, Bob, this program is not a finished product. All it is, we're gathering data for the people who are going to be writing the history in 2014, the 200th anniversary of Wadsworth. So we want to get as many facts as we possibly can and to make them as accurate. That's why we're getting all of these people in here. Who else lived there then?
Okay, I'm going on down the road after Beery's. There was different ones. The Beery's passed on, and then their son lived there for a while. Let's see, Ernest Beery, and he had two boys, Neil and Dale. And let's see, Brubaker lived there for a while.
Wayne Brubaker?
Yeah, Wayne was the son. Wayne and Harold.
Harold.
And their dad was Ernest.
Ernest Brubaker.
Let's see, Elmer Brubaker.
Elmer Brubaker.
Elmer Brubaker, okay. And then keeping on coming down, you come to wrestlers.
And they had girls.
Yes, they had a boy, one boy, I can't remember his name, but
Alan.
No, that was a nephew.
Was that a nephew?
No, that was a grandson.
A grandson?
To Dave Wrestler.
Okay.
Was the farmer that moved in. And his...
Catherine, they had a Catherine.
Yeah, okay, now this one had, let's see, Bertha and... I didn't think I forget these names.
Oh, it's easy to forget, let me tell you. We are at that age, you know, Bob.
Yeah.
Now this would, let's make sure that I get this straight. This is not the Wrestler family that had Catherine and Alan?
No,
Okay,
that's...
well then, there's another Wrestler
That's
family.
John Wrestler's kids.
Okay, John Wrestler.
John Wrestler was Dave Wrestler's son.
Okay.
Okay, and John was a butcher.
Right, so
Yeah.
that would be then
Yeah,
Catherine Wrestler and Alan Wrestler, okay.
Yeah, and there was another boy too. What was his name? Myron, I believe.
Myron Wrestler? Okay.
Something like that. And let's see. Okay, keep on coming down past Wrestlers. The next place would be on the other side of Tower Road, which would be the blacksmith shop.
Right, now you didn't call it Tower Road in those days though, did you?
No, it had a number.
Number,
And
what was
so
it?
did Blake Road have a number. I
Yeah.
think it was County Road 118, Blake Road, but I don't know what Tower Road was.
They just named those within the past 25 years or so.
Oh, yes.
right?
Well,
Tower Road
like
was
Gypsy Lane, it
Yeah.
was, and then they named it
the
Hartman.
Hartman Road,
Yeah.
right. I still call it Gypsy Lane
Yeah,
myself because
yeah. Okay, the blacksmith shop
Tell
was,
us about the blacksmith shop and
He-
who the blacksmith was.
he was Bill Freed and
And spell Freed, not the same way that we always spell it.
F-R-I-E-D-T, I think.
That's right,
yeah.
F-R-E-I-D-T.
E-I-D-T.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
Freed.
And his daughter married Paul Fulton.
Paul
And-
Fulton.
Yeah, and they lived in the house right where the blacksmith shop is. It's on the corner.
I mean, is Paul the same as Pinky?
No.
Okay, I just want to make that clear. I knew it wasn't, but I want to make that clear. This is another Fulton.
Right. Their relation.
They're all the Fultons are
They're-
related.
Right. Distant cousin. Yeah. Okay. Paul was worked for. He worked for Hayes Arnold for a while. Now,
Chevrolet place.
Chevrolet, right?
Hayes Arnold went out of business 60 years ago.
Yeah. And then he worked for.
50 to 60 years
He
ago.
worked down in Lodi for Summers,
Summer Chevrolet
Yeah.
in Lodi.
and there at the end he worked at the church as a janitor.
That's the custodian of the church.
At
Which
the-
church? The Acme
Okay,
Lutheran?
Jerusalem.
Okay.
Acme, I always call it too.
Yeah, Acme, Jerusalem Lutheran Church.
Yeah.
We used to call it Acme Lutheran Church, right.
Yeah.
And then who lived next to the blacksmith shop?
Okay, I lived across the road from the blacksmith
Right.
shop. Right straight across. We used to watch him shoe horses.
Is that right?
Yeah. And he'd do a lot of it outside when it was so hot inside. It would be hotter
We have a
inside.
picture of your house here somewhere, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, here we go. We have a picture of the house right there. It's at the back of the, at the very, very back of the house, way back in there.
Yeah.
And that house is still standing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
And what was the building closer to the front?
Closer to the front there. Are you talking about this building right here?
Yes, right.
Okay, that was where Paul Fulton lived. And
This building right here.
oh, that building, that's the garage.
Garage.
Yeah, it's hooked right onto the other building.
And very close by there, you also had the post office, didn't you?
Right.
Here's the post office in Blake.
Right. I think they built the house, this house right where the post office was. And it was the post office then for a little while.
It was the post office for a while.
Yeah.
But that was the post office in Blake. Now, for those people who do not know what Blake is, tell us what Blake is.
Okay, Blake is about 1 mile
South?
north
Oh.
of 224. It was 224 then.
Yeah.
Now it's Greenwich Road.
Right.
And
About a mile south also of River Styx.
about a mile south of,
Small community.
about a mile west of River Styx.
West,
West and
south.
south.
Right, south and west, okay.
Right.
And Blake was actually a little community. People don't
Yeah.
really call it that anymore.
We used to go Halloweening and we'd throw corn at their windows and I remember Paul Long, he had a white sheet over him and he was in the ditch. Boy, he come out and we scared us to death.
Paul Long did that?
Yeah.
Paul Long lived in Silver Creek Road.
No.
What?
Paul Long lived right there in Blake. He lived in the house.
Which Paul Long would it be then?
Okay, I'm mixed up. Paul Fulton.
Paul Fulton, okay. Paul Long lived
Okay.
in Silver Creek. Paul Fulton lived there, that's right.
Paul Long is a brother-in-law of mine.
Oh, he's a brother-in-law of yours,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Paul, you must have married then one of the Bird girls.
Yes, right.
Okay.
He married Kathleen.
Katie Bird, right. But Paul Long lived in Silver Creek. He doesn't
Right.
live there now, but he lived in Silver Creek.
Right.
And Paul Fulton then would be, in addition, he'd come up with a sheet on.
Yes.
And what did you think it was?
Oh, we thought it was a ghost.
What did you do?
We probably ran.
Those are the days that you could run, right?
Yeah, right.
You ran as fast as you could.
Right.
Probably no cars around.
No
cars anywhere.
Traffic at all.
What do you remember about your boyhood days there in Blake?
Oh,
Incidentally, Blake was part of Wadsworth, but
Yeah.
we just...
we were going on down the road there. There was Bob Barton, who was a year older than me, but we played together a lot. And up the road there was Oscar Sterrett.
Oscar Sterrett, right, then who moved to Silver Creek after that in
Yeah.
1939.
He had a field there, and he would let us go out and play football in this field when he had hay in it, you know. And
Wife was Mary.
Yeah.
He had 3 daughters.
Right.
Do you remember the daughters' names?
Yeah. It was Vida
Was the youngest one.
and Ollie
Ollie.
and Nellie.
Nellie, that's correct.
And Mrs. Sterrett used to cut my hair.
Mary Sterrett.
Yeah, she was a
Lovely people.
what do you call it, the community barber.
She was the community barber.
Yeah.
And she was just a wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
person. Everyone loved her. Now then, you you have a sister. Unfortunately, she died in 1940, you say.
Yes.
Tell us about your brother, Dale.
He liked antique cars. He
Still likes antique cars.
still likes them.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lives in Florida. He's been living there for about 25 years plus.
And he married Carol Dietrich.
Right. His first wife died when they were just married, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years.
She died. Who was his first wife?
His first wife was Elaine Buhite.
Elaine Buhite, from where? Down west or south of Wadsworth.
Wadsworth, yeah. Her dad was a barber.
Yeah. And she died before she was 30 years old, I believe.
Oh, yeah, 26, I think.
26, yeah. And what'd she die of?
Yellow jaundice.
Yeah, she had the horrible infection.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor soul. I remember that very, very well. Bob was just a couple of years ahead of me in school.
Oh, yeah.
See, he was born, what, 26?
Six.
Yeah, he was a few years ahead of me, but I knew him
Yeah.
very well.
Dale.
Dale, I'm sorry. Dale and Bob, I always get them mixed up. Dale was a couple of years ahead of me in school.
Yeah.
Then, many years later, he married Carol Dietrich.
Yes. Mhm.
Many years
Well,
later.
you know, right after she died, he wanted to keep the kids, see, and he had to get somebody to take care of them.
And she was a
And-
babysitter.
And Carol was doing babysitting up and down on Broad Street, and we told him that he should get her, so he got her, and later on he married her.
Carol was born across the street from me.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
So when they got married, they asked me to play for the wedding,
Oh, really?
and I did.
Yeah.
And I was really, really pleased to do that.
She just called me the other day, and she calls every once in a while, and I called them too, and she said that she was just going to be get her Medicare. She was old enough.
She's 65?
65.
Wow.
Or she's going to be this year, yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, she wasn't actually born across the street, but I remember her as a babe in arms. She was born about 1.5 miles from us, but then they had moved across the street. Ted and Esther Dietrich.
Ted.
Both Ted and Esther are both gone now.
Yeah.
And then she had a sister, Margaret, older sister,
Oh,
Margaret.
yeah, Margaret Woods.
Pardon me?
Margaret Woods?
Is that her married name?
Yes.
Okay, she lives in Barberton?
Oh, no. This one lives up on West Street.
No, that Margaret Woods is a sister to Ted Dietrich.
A sister of Ted, yes.
Ted Dietrich. That would be Margaret Dietrich's aunt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Margaret Woods. Margaret Woods is about 90 years old now, close to 90 years old.
Yeah.
And then they had a son, Jerry, who was born there. And
Margaret Woods used to run the East Street store.
that's right.
You know where that is?
Yeah, so they used to
On the
live
corner
on
of
East Street.
South Boulevard.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Margaret Woods then. Tell us a little bit about the odyssey of your father and mother. They finally settled in Wadsworth and stayed here for a long time.
You know
But
how
before that,
how they ever, he has my dad had a sister that moved up here, and he moved his cattle and everything. He had a farm, and he moved to a farm on, it's on now Rawega.
Road.
Rawega Road, yeah.
And what was the sister's name?
Molly.
Molly
Mary.
what?
Mary Winkler.
Winkler.
Yeah.
And the Winkler farm was out.
Yeah, she was a Hugi.
But she was known as Mary Winkler here in town. Yes.
Yeah.
And she was. I'm trying to think.
Aunt Molly, she was. To me.
I'm trying to think of the children's names now, and I know.
There was a bunch of them.
Yeah, and I can't think of their names right now.
Okay, Hazel was the youngest, I think, and then there was Johnny and Paul and Selma, and the ones that are living are Lucy and Anna and Hazel are still living.
And they're all in their way high.
Yeah.
70s and 80s, aren't
Yep.
they?
Mm-hmm. Now, the youngest one is Hazel, and she was about 4 years older than I. So she'd be about 84. 85.
Yeah, she went to school with my oldest brother.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. She's out in Arizona.
Is she? Mm-hmm. So is my brother, except that he's buried out there. So,
Okay.
they went to school together, and I remember the Winkler families. And as a matter of fact, I think she was the baby, wasn't she? Mm-hmm. She was the baby.
Yeah.
So there were 8 or 10 kids.
Oh, there was about that.
Yeah, 8 or 10 kids, and they ranged from 80 now to almost 100 years of age.
Yeah.
So your Aunt Molly, or Aunt Mary, as we called her Mary Winkler, but Mary was would be probably 130 years old now or so if she were living.
Well, my dad was born in 1888, and she was born about 5 years before him.
Okay, well, I didn't miss it by far. So 1883, so it'd be 112, 13, 14 years old, something like that today.
They sold their house to the golf course.
That's right. You just took the words out of my mouth. The Winkler farm, and I was about ready to say that a couple minutes ago, and then I got it sidetracked. I sidetracked myself, which is also one of the things that we do as we get older. We interrupt ourselves. The golf course right now, and I don't know much about the golf course, but the Winkler farm house sat just about where the whatever they call that place where you eat and so forth.
Oh, the restaurant.
Well, right. It was right that far back off the road. Remember, it was way.
Yeah, it was quite a ways. Yeah.
Way back off the road, somewhere close to where the I want to call it a field house. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
Clubhouse. The clubhouse. The clubhouse.
Here
The
you got
clubhouse.
some
That's
help.
the clubhouse. That's right. The clubhouse is.
Yeah.
That they had a big farm. They had 160 acres out there, didn't
Yeah.
they? They had a whole quarter of that. Do you remember going to the Winkler farm?
Oh, yes.
And who were some of the people who lived on both sides of the Winkler farm? Do you remember?
No,
Some of them went to
well,
school.
there was Neiman's. I can remember that.
Right. And
Paisley.
Neiman was N-E-I-N-I-E or N-I-E-M-A-n.
I believe that's
Yeah,
right.
N-I-E-M-A-N, right.
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Paisley.
I don't know the Paisleys.
Okay. Well, you go clear up to Seville Road, and there's a Straub. And I got the one boy here in the picture.
Well, they also had two sisters.
Yeah. Gladys.
And another one, younger one was,
Yeah, there was a younger one. I can't remember her at all.
oh, I know it exactly. She was born in about 32. Right at the tip of my tongue, but I know who she is. Yeah, they lived
Right
across
on.
on Seville Road, but across the road, did
Yeah.
they not?
Well, now there was two Straubs. There was one lived on the south side and one on the north side.
Okay, the one on the south side is the one that I knew.
Yes, that's the one that I knew too. Now the one on the north side, they were from Monroe County too.
Were they really?
Yeah, and I think the Neiman's were. There was a bunch of.
I want to say Nina Straub, but I don't think that's right.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, it'll bother me now until I find out. But someone will call me tonight to tell me that. I get phone calls
Right.
on a regular basis. People
Yeah, I
saying,
was thinking of calling you a few times.
well, you should, because all we want to do is to make sure that we have
Yeah.
accurate information. Getting back to the farm, your aunt's farm.
Dale and I went down there for a week once, and
Oh, did you?
we had a lot of fun there.
Now he had. It seemed like hundreds of cows, but how many
yeah.
head of cattle did he have?
Now that I wasn't in. I was so young then,
Is that right?
and I know when my mom and dad moved from Blake out to it was 224 then, out to Greenwich Road, just around the corner from 49. It was the second house. The corner house was Newcomer, and
Was that Nina Newcomer?
I don't know.
There was-
See, okay, the girl married Jay Buffington, their daughter.
Okay, no, that would not be Nina. Huh?
Okay.
Nina, I think, lived down in Custard Hook.
Oh,
Or no, not in Custard Hook, but in Diddley-Bomb Hill, I think.
yeah. Hmm.
Now, go ahead.
My Henry married a newcomer too. So
Henry.
Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler
Yeah.
married a newcomer.
I think he was the oldest. Yeah.
I see.
Okay. When we lived there, when my mom and dad lived there on 224 at that time, why I built a barn there, or a garage, and I went to Winkler's and went in their creek and got gravel.
Oh my
They
heavens,
said I
really?
could go down there and get gravel.
So you didn't have to buy any gravel for
Yeah, I
a lot of work, though.
rented a trailer off of Perry Lee.
Off after Perry Lee.
Yeah, he had a paint and wallpaper and,
Right.
and rentals. And I rented a trailer quite often.
And you got the
Used to.
Now we're going to run out of time so we're going to have to find out a little bit more about your wife's family.
Okay.
Where did you meet your wife, and who was your wife and her family? They have a huge conglomerate of people here in town
Yeah,
too.
She was just a year under me in school.
And what was her
But-
first name?
Her first name was Joyce.
Joyce Bird.
Yeah,
B-I-R-D.
B-I-R-D. I met her, the first time I ever met her was, I think it was at the ball field, and I was playing baseball with the with
Acme Lutheran Church. And which ball field? I think that's very important. too.
Bird Street Park.
At Bird Street Park.
Right.
How did you get way down there?
That's where the church had their game
And the Acme Lutheran Church had a
team.
team.
Yeah.
And they were very good too.
Yeah.
They were always in the paper.
They still have it, yeah.
So she was down there watching, right?
Yeah.
What year was this, Bob?
Oh boy, it must have been in 48, 48 or 49.
48 or 49. So she is watching you, and how did you happen to meet her? We want the details.
Well, you know what? I wasn't playing ball, and I said to her, I said, how about, well, I was with another girl.
You were with another girl?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say who it was?
Yeah, it was Dorothy Ryder.
Oh, Dorothy Ryder, my neighbor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so she, I said, let's go over and watch them play tennis. So we did, and
What did you do with Dorothy?
well, I just quit going with her.
Took care of that.
Yeah.
So you started going with,
So I'm visiting Dorothy every once in a while now.
you do visit Dorothy every now and
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice of you. What, then, when did you get married?
I got married in 1950, May 18th.
May 18th, 1950. And then what about children?
Oh, I got a boy and a girl. Laura is the younger one, Laura Lynn, and
And when was she born?
she was born in 1953,
53
and Bob was born in 51.
and 51.
Yeah.
Okay,
and-
so you have children who are over 50 years of age.
Yes.
Now, here comes the hard part,
54.
Bob.
Yeah.
Name the grandchildren and don't forget any.
Okay.
You're in trouble if you forget.
I got 4 granddaughters.
Okay.
That's all I got is granddaughters, and great granddaughters too. Let's see, I got Stephanie, Lisa. Stephanie, Lisa is Laura's daughters, and Bobby's daughters are Mackenzie and Ori, A-U-R-I.
A-U-R-I, Arby.
Ori. And Mackenzie is graduating from college this year, and Ori is graduating from high school this year.
In Wadsworth?
No, in Mansfield.
Mansfield, okay.
Well, they went to Lexington School, but she lives, Mackenzie lives up on Ridgewood Road.
Ridgewood Road.
Yeah, with a lady there.
Now, you say you have great-grandchildren also.
Yeah,
You want to try to name them?
I got 3. I think I can name them. There's Lissa and
Well,
Arbery and Mallory.
there are 3 of them.
3 of them.
Now we have
They're 2
4
different sisters.
we have 4 granddaughters and 3 great-grand.
Right.
If you named all 7 of them, right?
Right.
Okay, I want to make sure. Now, having named those, tell us about the bird families, and there are several of them, and to which bird family does Joyce belong? Who are her sisters, I should say?
Her sister is Katie and her brother is Richard.
Richard and Katie. Now, Katie and Richard are still living.
No, Richard isn't living.
Oh, wait, that's right, he died.
He just
Oh,
died.
yes, not too long ago.
This year, yeah.
Yeah,
It was last year, yeah.
his wife,
Mary.
Mary, yeah. Oh my, that's right. I'd forgotten about his dying. That's right, exactly. Yeah. Now, they have other birds who are cousins.
Yes.
Name those people so we get them in the right family. Richard, Joyce, and
Katie.
Katie belong to one bird family.
They were Richard Bird Sr.
Richard Bird Sr., and they lived on what we used to call Stony Ridge Road.
Stony Ridge Road, right.
But on the south side, up on the hill, which was at one time the vacation residence for the Pardees here in town.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Now that belongs to Richard Sr. Now,
Now, that place there that's on the hill,
right.
that place belonged to Ed Bird. Ed,
Ed Bird lived there.
Yes.
Okay. Now Ed Bird then had 4 daughters, did he not?
Oh, I think he had more than that.
Did he? I know of Irene, Esther, and
Evelyn,
Evelyn, and
the one that married a Morrison.
Morrison was Esther.
No,
No?
Esther Farnsworth.
Farnsworth, that's right, yeah.
And she married a Schultzman after that, after
Yeah.
he died. Let's see, Lois
Lois, right.
Okay.
Okay, that's Ed Bird's family.
family, yeah.
Now there's another family
Well,
there.
Okay, then there's, let me think. There was more to Ed Bird's family. There was Charlotte is on Tom Bird's side, and he had 3 girls, and their names are Charlotte and Cloris and Betty.
Betty.
And Cloris married a Guiley, Dale Guiley.
Dale Guiley, right.
Dale
As a matter of
Guiley.
fact, I interviewed her.
Yeah.
Right. She was a Bird.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So there are 3 Bird families, and
Right.
they're all 3 brothers. But Ed had only 4 daughters. Is that correct?
Well, I think there was more.
Were there more than 4?
There's one that lives up in the condos up there, the older condos up north of town
I mean, Manoir?
there. No.
Up in.
Deepwood or
Yeah.
those older condos.
Well, I'll get a call, I'm sure, from Esther tonight,
Yeah.
and she'll tell me.
Okay.
She'll tell me. But I thought there were only 4 girls in the Ed Bird.
No, there was one that married Charlotte Wolf, Cecil. You get her. She used to sing in the women's church women's.
Cecil?
Cecil.
Cecile?
Cecil Wolf. And then she lived with her cousin Bessie Bird's son Charlie Gish.
Oh, Charlie Gish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now that was a sister to my wife's dad.
Yeah, she was a Bird. Mrs. Gish was a
Right.
Bird, right. The Bird families go back many years.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, probably 100 years.
Yeah.
And they all pretty well lived up there in the northwestern part of Wadsworth.
Yeah, right.
And then you married one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
They had a little cottage there, and they added on to it, and since they sold it, why they've added on more to it.
They've added on more to it?
Yeah, and Joyce's father died in the pond. He got
Pardon me?
drowned in the pond that they built.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my, I'd forgotten about that. That's been, 50 years ago, isn't it?
Yes, it's been 55.
Yes, 55 years. Yes, I do remember that now.
I
had forgotten about that.
I asked him if he would walk her down the aisle. And I was going to have a church wedding, and he died before that.
Oh boy.
And his wife, her name was Laura Halvey, her maiden name, and she died just, I don't know, a couple months after he did. So they were both gone before we got married.
Oh, that was so sad.
We just got married in a church parsonage.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was very sad.
Yeah.
Just really sad. Wow. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Those things happen, and we hate to see them happen.
Yeah.
Tell us about River Styx and the brickyards and the cider mills and the things like that you remember. Brickyard, I should say.
Brickyard. Oh, I don't know too much about the brickyard. I know I bought bricks from it. And
How big was it?
Uh,
How many kilns do they think they had?
I've never been down there. I think I must have been down there to get the bricks. But
You almost have to because
Yeah.
they didn't ship them.
yeah, but see, I can't remember.
Can't remember that, I see.
No.
What do you remember most about River Styx and Blake and things like that?
I used to, my dad mostly, he would carry eggs down in a basket, in a peck basket to sell to the River Styx store. And it's about 2 miles to walk.
He would walk down.
Yeah,
Yep. We did a lot of walking, didn't we?
and my brother and I would go down too. And we'd take the eggs down sometimes. We would,
Who was the owner of the store at the time?
Fred Freed.
Fred Freed, right.
Yeah.
And describe Fred. He's kind of a distinguished looking fellow in a certain way.
I can't describe him, but he was a half brother, I think, to Bill Freed. It was a blacksmith shop.
I didn't know that. Huh? You say he was a half brother to Bill Freed?
Well, there was another half brother, was Joe Freed, that had the rental property right next to me, or right next to my mom and dad.
I can't, that doesn't ring a bell with me.
Joe Freed.
But it's entirely possible.
He
See,
had-
so many of these people back then didn't talk about
Yeah.
half brothers and so forth, but there were a lot of them
Yeah.
because women would die in childbirth and there
Yeah.
would be another marriage. As a matter of fact, I'm interviewing someone about a month from now who have 3 distinct families. And of the 3 distinct families, only 2 are boys, and they were the very, very, very last to be
Yeah.
born. And in this family, there are 3 girls in the first marriage, 3 girls in the second marriage, and 2 boys in the next
Yeah.
marriage.
You ought to interview Mary Bird. She knows an
I would
awful.
love to interview
Oh.
Mary Bird. You try to get her on this program, though.
She knows so much more than I do. You know, she just. You know, if I have a picture and I say I don't know who that is, but
She knows.
can tell me. You know.
Well, you know, I would be very grateful to you if you can get Mary Bird on this program. I have tried to get the Birds on this program before, and I get, well, we'll talk about it. Well, they never
Yeah.
talk about it. As a matter of fact, one of the problems that I have is getting people to come onto the program. Now, you've been on the program for 55 minutes. Do you feel the least bit threatened?
No, I don't.
Not at all, because
No,
it's just as normal as anything can possibly be, and no one would really
Right.
know that
Yeah.
that this is up. We're gonna run out of time. We have only a few minutes left here, but I want to ask more questions about your high school days. You were a machine shop, and you talked about Bill Frost, the one teacher.
Yes.
Were you there the day that he dropped over dead?
No.
No.
No. That was after.
After you
In
left.
fact, he taught a couple of years after.
I
think.
remember the day that he died.
Oh, do
We
you?
were coming back from lunch, and I mean, there were no EMTs or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there was a as I remember, there was it could have been a police car, it could have been an ambulance or something. I've forgotten exactly what. And as we were going in, the rumor spread, you know, like wildfire, that someone had got sick.
Uh-huh.
Well, got sick in my foot. He died, poor fellow.
Yeah.
Nice person. Really a nice person.
I was thinking of who was the related subject teacher
Who was that?
before Ralph Rohr was Court Weesey.
Oh, okay.
We went on a trip to Cincinnati with him.
Court we see.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Well, boy, that does go back.
Court Weesey, he was strict. Bill Fagan, he was kind of a cut-up, and
I mean, the
I
student
don't
Bill
know
Fagan.
what was going on, but anyhow, he told Bill, he says, "You better shut up, or I'm going to hang one on you, and it won't be wallpaper."
You do that today, and he'd have a lawsuit,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I bet Bill Fagan shut up in a hurry.
Yep.
Yeah. Why did you go to Cincinnati? Just out of
Oh,
curiosity.
okay.
And how did you get there? That'd be very interesting too.
Well, different ones drove, but my parents would let me ride with anybody but with Court Weesey.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to look at different factories, machine shops, and all different types of factories down there. We stayed in a motel there in a big room, and I can't remember too much about it.
Now, this was during the war.
Yeah, it was in 42, I guess.
42.
Mm-hmm.
And new cars did not exist from 1941 to 1945.
Yeah.
So what kind of car did you go down in? Do you remember?
I don't know what he had, but I know one of the boys, I think it was Dick Everett, had a Studebaker that he drove, and I think Bill Fagan drove a car too.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents said, "Hey, boy, you don't ride with him."
You're not going to drive with those kids. They knew better than to let you do that.
Yeah.
Quickly, your high school days and what that did in terms of your lifelong living. So,
Well, after I graduated, well, in fact, before I graduated, as soon as I got to be 18, I was 18 in February of the year I graduated, and I went down to the injector to get a job, and they were signing me up, and I said, well, I want to work nights.
you want to work nights so that you could
So
what?
I could go to school.
We have a picture of the injector people. You
Yeah.
want to show let's show that picture of the injector people right here. Do you remember who they are?
Yeah, there's Lester Straub. Okay, Lester Straub is up with the hat on, the highest one there, and then beside him is George Lawrence.
George Lorenz.
And he was the boss there.
was the boss, right?
That night boss. And then myself is the only other one I can name, and I'm down here in the right-hand corner. Oh, there's Bill Connell, is right, from the left is the second one over from the left.
From the left. Then after you left the injector, where did you go to work?
I went to the Army,
And then what?
and then when I come out from the Army, well, I seen an ad in the paper for a post office job.
And we have some post office people right here. These are the post office people. Who are those people?
They're to the
From
left,
to right.
left to right, there's Lloyd Williams,
Who who worked in the post office for 1,000 years.
myself, and then there was Jaggers Opplinger. His name is Russell, but we always call him Jaggers.
And what else did Russell Opplinger do?
Well, he did a lot of things.
Such as what?
He was president of the union.
That's right.
He
And did he have,
he had a bunch of children.
who were some of the ones? Can you remember the children?
Gee. Bill was a boy, was one boy. I think he was a patrolman. Let's see. I can't name.
But he was significant in the post office and also in the city of Wadsworth.
Oh,
All the
yeah.
Opplingers.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some of the Opplinger descendants here on the program, and they certainly are have an interesting life. You started in the post office probably in '55, is that right?
No,
I'm sorry, 45?
48,
48, you started in 48.
47 or 48.
47 to 48, and 47 to 48 that you were in the post office, which is on Broad Street,
Right.
which was built in 1937. Of course, now it's still there, but it doesn't function as the daily post office. Bob, we have come to the end of the hour. There are so many interesting things we still would like to talk to you about. These hours just fly by very
Right.
quickly. Want to thank you once again for coming. You've given us a lot of information about a part of Wadsworth that we don't have too much information about, and that's Blake. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.